I just wanted to tell you about some more projects that I've been doing. I'm not actually going to be doing any airbrushing today, but I have done this project, which is my first planet scenery, and I followed the instructions on this DVD, which is from Harder and Steinbeck. I got this with my starter kit, and I bought a Harder and Steinbeck airbrush with my starter kit, so I got this included. But you can get these separate. I think you can find them on quite a few websites that sell Harder and Steinbeck and airbrushes, and they're about €3, I think. But anyway, there's a couple of step-by-steps, and one of them is this Planetary Scene. Now, here is mine, and this is theirs. You can't see it so well, but what I find very important with my projects now is that I have a reference picture next to the one that I'm working on. Now, because this was from the DVD, I had to take actually a photograph of, I paused the DVD, took a photograph of this from my television, and then put it on the computer and printed it out. So there's my reference. Mine's slightly different. I've used slightly different colours than they have. Not much, but in general this one's most obvious, is that my planet is red in this corner. You probably can't see it so well from here, and theirs is blue, and theirs has a satin ring round it and mine doesn't. But anyway, it's up to you what colours you want to use. And I've found that this was an extremely useful exercise. The main thing that I want to say is, while I was watching the DVD, I made notes. I made notes of the colours that we used, the orders that they were sprayed in, and where. And I found that very useful for reference, apart from obviously the picture itself. And also, they used a white piece of card and then sprayed it black, whereas I have actually completely cheated and just got black paper. I didn't want to do the spraying, but if you want to practice doing a background, then yes, go ahead, spray black paint onto the white and practice doing a background. I did mine on the black paper, as I said, and they also, in their DVD, they did use Frisket film, and that was part of the exercise to show how to use Frisket film, but I didn't. I used my usual paper, card and magnets technique to make stencils. And the first one I did, I literally just took a piece of A4 paper and I've ripped it. And I've ripped it in a way, just literally by hand, just moving up and down to create a mountainous area, if you like. So this is the first stencil that I used. Let me just zoom in a little bit for you. This is the first stencil I used, and obviously this top bit I also masked off with a piece of paper so that I didn't get any overspray on my artwork. And with this, I started off at the bottom. Now, what was interesting that they mentioned is that you should, on a black or dark coloured background, now seems very obvious, to first start with your light colours. First start with a white, because you're not going to see any colours. If I sprayed yellow over black, you'd hardly see it at all. So putting first white background on, and the areas that you want to be yellow, for example, of course, you put first white, and then you spray the yellow on top, and you go from the colours from light to dark. That's also something that I didn't know. So you start from, you start with your whites, you put your colours on top, otherwise you wouldn't see them. And once I'd done, followed the instructions and done that, then I used this stencil to cover up my planet, to protect what I've painted, and then I'd cut this one out, large circle for my large planet, and then proceeded with the exercise here. Again, putting down the whites first and then spraying colours on top. This planet, they used a nice technique with using a scrunched up piece of paper towel with white on it to give more texture to the planet's surface, which was quite nice. You can't see it so well. I will try and zoom in a bit. Down a little bit. But I don't think you can see it, but you can see a little bit between between the lines here, but that's my technique was not so good, so theirs looked a lot better. And then once that was done, use this stencil to cover up the planet that I'd done. I could just put a magnet there to cover that up, because the next thing I did was the stars, and for the stars I used a toothbrush. I don't have splatter effect on my cap on my airbrush yet, and I haven't managed to regulate it with the air pressure to be able to do it. So back to my lovely technique which I used before, which to do these small stars on the background, just literally white ink on the end of the toothbrush, and then using the technique that they to pick out a few stars to do these highlights. I think I've gone a bit over the top with the highlights, but yes, this is only practice. And then a starburst, and with the starburst, another stencil which they teach you how to do, which is these across. See, like that? And you put it on, and you just spray the centre part. You don't have to go up and down the lines because it spreads out naturally, and then afterwards you do the middle dot starting from nearby and pulling away. So that was that, and then finished off using the stencil here to do my planet. Obviously taking care that all this background is masked off so I don't get any overspray. So there's my planet stencil here, and that's what it ended up looking like. Take all my stencils off. So the only difference basically that I've done is I've used paper stencils instead of Frisket. I used black paper instead of spraying a white background, spraying it black. And what I learned, I found this a fantastic exercise actually. I learned all sorts of different techniques, obviously putting the lights on to get the colours on a dark background. Obviously not only using the brush but using tissue paper to get effects. There's also some highlights here using a brush, so dip the brush into the paint and do some highlights on them. And also, while I was actually spraying to change colours, I hadn't actually been doing that. I've been only using one colour. This is the first project I've done where I've been changing colours, and which means I had to clean out my cup in between each colour to make sure that I didn't contaminate the next colour with the previous colour, to make sure it was nice and clean. So that was a good exercise generally for getting used to looking at a reference, following instructions, if you like, using stencils, the different techniques of building up layers of paint to get the different effects, and also just literally how to take care of the airbrush, how to clean it in between the colours. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't think it's absolutely brilliant, of course, it's definitely not, and I wasn't too happy with this bottom bit here. I did too many of these lines. I tried to darken some of them afterwards, but it's just an exercise, and if I want to improve on it, then I've got to do it again and again, so that's the whole fun of it. But I would recommend it. If you have this DVD, then go ahead and do it. Maybe on YouTube there's other DVDs of planetary scenes that you can have a look at and follow. But that's what I did, and I found it a very useful and very interesting exercise. Now the next video is an exercise I did on my first skulls, so painting, airbrushing skulls, using stencils at first but then freehand. So I'll show you that next. Bye.